What is that?
It's my bone.
God damn it, Cartman!
How would you like to suck my balls?
What did you say?
I'm sorry. Actually, what I said was... How would you like to suck my balls, Mr. Garrison?
Holy shit, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Suck My Balls, a South Park review. I'm your host of the most lives on the West Coast, your boy, MSG. Follow me on that Twitter, on that Twatter, Instagrammer. I'm Matthew_Schaffer. Each and every week, myself and my boy here review South Park in linear fashion. What does that mean? That means we start at the beginning, and we're going to go until, well, there's no more to go to. And hopefully that's not for years to come. But if you are watching this on video, you can already see his sexy-looking eyes and those dainty-looking eyebrows. Of course, that suavely brushed hair. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my boy chilling in that hot, sunny Arizona.
It's hot.
Jackson. Somebody. What's up, buddy?
Just, hanging out, talking mad shit on the Twitters.
I know, dude. You're getting into it.
Dude, I'll call you out. I'll call anybody out.
He doesn't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck. You could be our follower. You could not be our follower. I see something dumb. I'm going to say, wow.
Scoop is cutting loose on our Twitter, which if you
Yeah.
haven't followed
I'm
us,
at the point where it's like, dude, like seriously, there's no point arguing the points that's going on right now. There needs to be social justice change and wear a mask. Like, there's a reason why other countries have it under control and we don't. It's just simple facts. It's where I'm at, and I'm done playing games.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I can see from both argument sides, because I can see some people who are already over the mask, and I get that too, because in certain areas you've been fucking wearing the mask for 3-4 months and no one else is wearing it. So at this point you're like, the fuck? Why should I keep wearing this? If no one else is going to wear it, then obviously I'm the fucking idiot here, right? So like there's both sides to it, because I know some of our close friends, I know one in particular I was having a conversation with yesterday. He was making a point that he believes that he's still complying. Obviously, he's wearing the mask, but he's like, man, I kind of feel like this is an infringement on our rights. Like, first they're going to have us wearing masks, and they're going to have us wearing this. And I get where he's coming from, because you guys in Arizona are already in phase 2 and phase 3 in certain areas, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm in phase 1. My area still has not gotten to phase 2. So bars and restaurants aren't open to like limited seating capacity or reservations or anything like that. Like, it's still only takeout and drive-thrus. Bar, you know what I mean? So like it's either you're still going to get your food and groceries and go the fuck home. Which is funny, because in my county, there's not a lot of high rate amount of like deaths or coronavirus infections itself.
But then you look at my county,
right,
where everybody is out, and there's a direct correlation with risk-taking behavior and rises in the virus. And you can't deny the fact that being open and walking around Target and seeing all of these people maskless, and then like 4 units in the hospital are non-COVID.
Not to interrupt, I think to a lot of people's point, Ian, at this point, it's been 3-4 months, right? So, like, if you still have COVID, you should be going the fuck out, I think is what people are at this point. True. You know what I mean? They're like, I don't have COVID. I haven't gotten COVID. It's been months. So if you still have COVID, stay the fuck home. I want to go back out and reopen shit. And I want to get back to, like, jobs and going to places and going to see my family and blah, 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 right? So I could, as far as a citizen, you're trying to live your life to the best of your best you can, and nobody's sick around you, none of your family members sick around you. So you're like, fuck this. I'm ready to be done with it. You know what I mean? So like, I can see it from that point too.
Yeah, I can see it from that point.
There's a lot of like angles that we have to consider. I think, rather than just all yelling at each other. Like, you're pointing out facts, so it's a little bit different. Like, I read how you come off initially online. You're very nice at first. You're like, here's facts. You only become a dick if people start to be a dick to you, which I think that's just natural as a human.
Right.
So,
Right.
but even in your being a dick though, you're still hitting them with the facts. You're like, oh, okay, really? Well, here's blah 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 blah. Thanks for coming. You know what I mean? So like, there's a
No.
difference in like how you're clapping back, I think, versus just being like, oh yeah, well, look at your profile picture. You're stupid. You don't even have a real picture. Oh, that's
You're suck my balls says all I need to know. But it's like people,
yeah, well, it should be that.
I
Good. Suck. My bad.
man.
Yeah, my man.
No, I get it. Like I get it. I kind of see that too. The whole I get it. It can kind of be an infringement on our rights, but at the same time, being close with doctors and nurses, it's like I know it's not going to stop the virus, but
Right.
the way that the virus spreads is through a droplet. And what's the mask going to do? It's going to stop that droplet. It's going to help protect you a little bit and protect and stop the spread from somebody who has it. You're not going to know you have it for 2 to 14 days. And during those 2 to 14 days, you're going out, you're touching things, you're doing things, and you're spreading it. And, I happen to have people in my family that are pretty high risk with asthma. And it's just being considerate.
No, and it sucks also for those people that are, let's just say, you mentioned asthma. I'm sure like a person with asthma or another person with breathing problems, the mask actually is not helpful, right? Because it's actually impeding their breathing pathway itself too. So like for them, they're like, can y'all just fucking put the mask on so we can all get over this shit? Because like I'm trying to fucking wear my mask and it's hurting me to fucking wear this shit.
If we have to wear a mask to go back to work, let's just fucking wear a mask. God damn. And if it turns out,
if you're not going to wear the mask, then you better not be fucking sick. And please don't fucking congregate in large areas. But like I put this on my Facebook in jest. I was like, dude, the average shopper is, takes 40 minutes to go grocery shopping. I mean, I only take 15. So
doctors and nurses have to wear double mask.
I was going to say somewhere between 15 and 40 minutes, Ian. Let me finish my thought. Is all you have to wear the mask when you're going inside of a store. So put it on, go in the store, get out of the store, take the mask off. That's it. You're done. Get in the car, go about your day. Not that hard. Otherwise, you're going to be quarantined. And if you're going to be quarantined, speaking of quarantine, I guess you might say, in this episode, there were some kids who did get quarantined. As we are a South Park podcast. We spent the first 6 minutes there on our diatribe about coronavirus right now. But let's get into the holiday spirit, Ian. Now, we're, of course, recording this couple days before, but when this airs, it's technically going to be July. So this is Christmas in July. So we've got this is season 2, episode number 16. Of course, this is Suck My Balls. Get my bad. Number 30, episode titled Merry Christmas, Charlie Manson. Now, it was the 16th episode of season 2, and of course, the 29th episode overall of South Park, originally airing on December the 9th of 1998. Now, it's Christmas time, and the boys have been invited to Cartman's grandma's house in Nebraska for the holidays. Unfortunately for Stan, though, as we find out at the beginning of the episode, his parents will not allow him to go, and Stan's going to sneak away and go with the others. So let's talk about an opening scene. We got the whole family gathered around the television. Stan's asking his parents, can I go with the Cartman? Can I go to Cartman with Cartman and all my friends to Nebraska? No, his mother initially says, but all my friends are going. Stan, of course, replies. Eventually, she kind of first caves. She's like, fine, whatever your father says. And Randy's like, yeah, okay, go.
It's okay with me. Stanley, you're not going.
The answer is no, Stanley.
But Mom, all the guys are going to Cartman's grandma's for the weekend.
I'm sorry, Stanley. I can't let you go all the way to Nebraska by yourself. It's the holidays.
But all the other guys get to go to Cartman's grandma's. Why can't I?
I'll leave it up to your father.
Well, that's fine with me.
The answer's no, Stanley. Now go wash up for supper.
I don't want your lame-ass supper.
You're gonna get it now.
A perfect case of one of those where your mom goes, well, whatever your father says, because she thinks when most women say that with their husbands, they agree. Yeah, well, your mom says you can't go, so you can't go. Randy's just like,
it was kind of like, if I asked my dad, I knew he would say yes. And if I asked my mom, I knew she would say no. And if my dad ever pulled that, well, it's up to your mom, I'm like, well, fuck me, I'm not going.
Yeah, so his mother, of course, says, no, you can't go. And she's like, now get ready for dinner. And he's like, I don't want your lame-ass dinner. And Sharon's like, ooh, Stan, you're going to get it now.
That's going to get it now.
And then she yells at him to go to his room. So he goes up to his room and is like, I'm out of here. I don't need this stupid family. And he leaves and he decides that he's going to go to Nebraska with the rest of the boys. So they show up in front of Cartman's mom's house now. And they're all like saying their goodbyes. They get in the car, they go. Now, the reason why I'm just talking about this issue moment for this point in the show for a moment is Ian, 8 years old. Well, he actually says that on the way out. He's like, I'm 8 years old. I don't have to take this.
Can't tell me what to do. I'm 8 years old. I don't need this stupid family anyway.
I'm 8 years old. I can do whatever the fuck I
He's
want.
like, I know what's up. I'm gonna strap on my job shoes, job pants, and job shirt. Go get a job and get my own place. I can make my own decisions.
Now, here's where I want to go into the conversation. Ian, 8 years old, or just any age, really. If I came to you, Ian, right now, I get out to Arizona and I said, "Hey, Ian, you want to come with me to Nebraska?" What would your response be?
Why? We gonna go look at some corn?
Damn it! No, I was hoping that you were going to give me the fuck no, because even at 8, I think I would realize Nebraska. What?
Yeah. I'm like, why?
So why does Stan, Cartman, and we'll find out why Kenny went. But why does Stan and Kyle, want to go? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why did you want to go to Nebraska? Just because you want to go to see it, I guess. It's just
I don't know.
Drawing a blank.
Wait. Doesn't he convince them gifts or something from his grandma?
No. Not for them.
Oh, right. Just for him.
You guys see when we get to my grandma's house, she's gonna have a big gift for me. You guys wait.
That's great. That's great, Cartman. That's what Kyle says. That's great, Eric. Great, Cartman. So they get in the car and they're like, "Ma'am,
How long is the trip to Nebraska?
9 hours, dearie."
9 hours? What are we gonna do for 9 hours?
Well, we could sing songs, and they end up singing your I guess the song that you hate. It's probably on your top dislike list. I haven't looked down. Over the river and through the woods to as we go. Hey, over the river and through the woods as we go. So they do this for 5 hours, 6 hours. I guess you might say 6 hours. Eventually, as they're passing in Nebraska, at one point they're like, you see they're covered in snow. There's a sign that says "You are now leaving Colorado," and then they get in. It literally does a film swipe, and all of a sudden their car literally drives from snow into plains and nothing, just vast emptiness of wheat.
It's pretty accurate.
And yeah, it is. No, it really is. I've done that trip. It's really ridiculous, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I was on tour in the middle of winter too. So it was fucking weird. We literally were leaving Colorado and our next stop was St. Louis, Missouri. So we were driving through Nebraska and you literally get from so we stopped probably about an hour. No, we stopped half hour away from the border because we were like, let's get really high now because we can't smoke in Nebraska. And of course I played a reggae band. I'm on tour, so we all stopped, we smoked, made some food, and then we drove it through Nebraska. And as we were driving, as soon as you hit that state border line, dude, it literally changes over from Rocky Mountains and beauty and greenery into just Nebraska. But anyway, as I went on my diatribe here, I don't know why the boys would want to go to Nebraska. So after a very long car journey, annoyed by Cartman and his mom singing that irritating song, they arrive in Nebraska. As they're outside Nebraska, they notice that, as they're outside, maybe an hour or two away from Cartman's family's house, they notice a sign that says Mr. Hankey is going to be appearing at the Nebraska Mall. And Mrs. Cartman notes that she shouldn't see an issue with them all visiting Mr. Hankey in the mall. So we think we're going to get Mr. Hankey in this episode, but boy, were we wrong. So we get to Cartman's grandma's house. They all look like Cartman except for Leanne, which is weird.
She's the only skinny one.
She's the only skinny one.
Happy holidays!
Hello.
These are Eric's friends, Stan, Kyle, and Kenny. Boys, let me introduce you to the Cartman family. This is Uncle Stinky.
Nice to have you. No.
Aunt Lisa, Cousin Fred, Cousin Alexandra, Fat Bob, Jimmy, and Great-Grandma Florence.
Come here, Eric. Give your great-grandma some huggies.
No, Florence, that's not Eric.
Oh, which one is he then?
The fat one.
I'm not fat.
He's
I'm big
boned.
boned.
That was totally gross. She smelled like vitamins and pee. Sick, dude.
Like nobody else in the family is skinny. And that's her mom, right? Like that's what we have to, I believe, that's her mother.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the resemblance between those two. Like the mom and Leanne. Like you can, they look kind of the same.
That's a valid point.
But then everybody else just looks like fucking
The
Cartman.
males essentially look like Cartman, really. And then the grandma.
Yeah.
Which Amen. So after that long car journey, annoyed by Cartman, his mom's, irritating the songs, the boys soon discover that Cartman's family are a lot like Cartman himself. They arrive in Nebraska with all the voices similar to Cartman. They're all overweight. They all eat like pigs, and they all use the same catchphrases. Even Cartman's little cousin. Sweet. So now they're at Christmas dinner, and they're shown one of their relatives, their uncle, Cartman's uncle, Howard,
On the TV from jail.
from jail. Like,
Come on, guys, I got extra rations. Let's hurry this up.
and they're like, no, we gotta say grace first. And that's when you mentioned the old lady. She's like, Grandma, you want to say grace?
Why do I always have to say grace? One more time, anyone ask me to say grace, I'm gonna kick your square in the nuts.
And then Cartman's like,
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. So now the boys are, they're kind of disgusted with this whole situation. At one point in the middle of the night, Kyle wakes up. He's like, oh, dude. And Stan's like, what? He's like, oh, I just had a nightmare. He's like, about what? He's like, dude, I dreamt that we were living in a house full of Cartmans. He's like, dude, we are in a house full of Cartmans. And then all of a sudden they hear someone breaking in, and it turns out it's Uncle Howard. You are not bright right now, dude. You are really dark.
Yeah, I just wanted to show Leanne and Mom, because you can, in this picture, you can like really see it.
Well, even without it, you went really dark all of a sudden. I don't know what happened, but anyway. So the next day, as the boys, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Maybe use my train of thought with all your antics here on YouTube, Skeet. So the Uncle Howard breaks in, and turns out Uncle Howard is not alone, as he escaped from prison with Charlie Manson. I don't. They must have been like, who's the evilest character that we can turn positive? And they were like, Charlie Manson. They just picked this notorious known cult leader, serial killer. I mean, he never actually killed people himself. He got people to do it.
He was trying to start a race war.
He started trying to race war. I mean, he did beat people up. There has been like a test of
oh yeah, he like will beat the shit out of people.
Like, but he never actually killed anybody. He had people do that. But it's Charlie Manson. He's got like, and they've got him depicted with the Nazi what is it? Swastika, I'm sorry, on his head. Swastika. That's not a fun word to say, but still. Then they hear someone breaking in, as we mentioned. The next day, the boys now ask Cartman's family to have them take them to the mall. But being like Cartman, they will not. Because they're watching the football game, and his uncle's like,
Yeah, I'm trying to watch the game. You will respect my authority. Cartman's like, you don't have to do it, darling.
but they are pissed now because they're like, man, we want to go to the mall. Let's see Mr. Hankey. They go down to the basement now, and Charlie Manson then offers to take them to the mall. And he's all like, yeah, I want to get some action. And Kyle's like all like nonchalantly, he's like, I'm proud
You should
of
stay here.
No. That was his Uncle Howard. Kyle actually says, good for you, Charlie.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'll take you. That's okay, Chuck. You just keep watching Christmas specials.
Hey, I didn't bust out of prison to be locked up in somebody's basement. I want some action.
Good for you, Charlie.
It was the uncle that said, "No, you should stay here."
And the guy was like, good for you, Charlie. Meanwhile, upstairs on the television, it was announced that Charlie Manson, of course, was had broken out of prison. Not his Uncle Howard, but just Charlie Manson, and it interrupted the game.
Mass murderer and extremely nasty person Charles Manson has escaped from prison. Manson was the man responsible for 7 murders in the late 60s. Manson has never shown any signs of remorse for his crime. If you see Manson, please kick his ass and smash his fucking face in for me, and then call the police.
And they didn't see what happened with all the plays. So Charlie Manson does drive them to the mall, hotwires the car. They're at the mall now, and they get to the mall, and they're all like, all right, we're going to go see Mr. Hankey. And Charlie Manson looks over at Kenny, and he says, how would you like to come with me to a more secluded part of the mall? Now, the first time I saw this episode, probably when I was younger, I never thought about it. Now that we're analyzing it, sorry, let me rephrase this. The multiple times that I saw this episode, I always thought that was kind of awkward, but I never put it together either. Do you think he fucked him?
Do you?
Do you think he banged him? Because I know you initially thought he was going to go kill him. And that's what everyone thinks too, right? Most people, at least. That Charlie Manson, everyone thought Charlie Manson was going to kill Kenny.
I thought, yeah, the first time I saw it, like he was either going to like fuck Kenny or kill him, right? And even like, you know, sometimes when I do my watch through and I get super stoned and I'm watching it, I'm like, oh shit, Charlie's about to kill Kenny. Don't do it, Charlie! Don't kill Kenny! It's like, oh wait, duh, he doesn't die. But then I'm like, then you get disappointed. You know what I mean?
You know what? That reminds me. Since we're up to that point in the episode, we were going to do it before, but I guess we forgot to do it at the beginning of the episode. So I guess let's go ahead and let's do it now, Scoop. Let's get into
what did Kenny say?
Yeah. Bum, 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 bum,
Did
bum.
Kenny? What did Kenny say?
Yes, guys. So Kenny doesn't have a lot of words or a lot of phrases in the episode. There's the first part of the episode where they're leaving and their parents tell his dad, or his dad tells Kenny, if you have any leftover food, make sure to bring some back. And Kenny says, okay. And so that wasn't much there. And then later on, I believe he also says, okay. And then after this point in the episode, which we'll get to after coming back here, Charles Manson reappears in a scene with the boys, and they're like, hey, where's Kenny? And then Kenny arrives and says, hey, you guys, I'm right here. And Dan's like, oh, hey, Kenny. So maybe trying to make you think that Kenny died initially, like that's what happened, like he went off to get killed by Charlie Manson, and then that's why Stan was like, oh, hey, Kenny. I mean, that's a good point there too. You maybe pointing out that you thought he died.
Because he's just like, hey, you want to come more secluded place with me? I'll greet you like.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what Kenny said. All right, guys. So in the next part of the episode, now we get 2 different directions. As I mentioned, Kenny goes off with Charlie Manson.
Yeah.
And Stan and Kyle are going to go see Mr. Hankey with Cartman.
Mr. Hankey.
Hankey.
I love this part.
So they go see Mr. Hankey. And they get up on his lap. And Kyle knows right off the bat, hearing him, howdy ho there, children. Howdy ho. Kyle's, who the fuck are you, dude? Like, just straight up, who the fuck are you? You're not Mr.
Who
Hankey.
the fuck are you?
He doesn't say that, but he's like, who are you? You're not Mr. Hankey. And, yes, I am. Howdy ho, boys and girls. And he's like, dude, what the fuck is going on here? Where's the real Mr. Hankey? And then he's like, kid, there's no way Mr. Hankey couldn't be in 2 places or more than 1 place at once. Just go with it. And then First, Kyle yells out to the audience and he goes, "This guy's a fake." And then Mr. Hankey goes, "No, I'm not, children. Howdy ho." And then everybody, all the kids are all like, "Howdy ho."
And behold your false prophet.
And Kyle rips off the mask of Mr. Hankey and says, "Behold, you're a false prophet." And this incites a riot within the mall. So much so. Well, actually, first, what sets Kyle off is Mr. Hankey, or the guy in the costume, says, "Dude, Mr. Hankey's not real." And Kyle's like, "What did you say?"
Why are you people doing this? Why would you lie like this to children?
Look, kid, there's Mr. Hankeys like me in every shopping mall. There is no real Mr. Hankey.
What? What did you say? Oh boy, you've done it now.
Huh?
Behold, here is your false prophet. Boo!
Ow!
Get him!
You lied to me, Mother. You said it was the real Mr. Hankey.
Well, yes, but
I will not forget this, Mother. I will not forget this ever.
And Stan's like, "Oh, dude, you've done it now." Like,
we did it now. We can't leave that out. We gotta have that.
that's like me and you hanging out, and somebody does something to like, like if somebody like did something to your daughter in front of us, I'd be like, "Dude, you done it now. You're fucking done. I'm not doing. Yeah, that's all you, bro." Like, that's how Stan reacted. Like, "Hands off, bro." Like, that's,
my hands are tied. I'm out.
You
did it now.
You done fucked up. And
Fucked up.
he was right, because the mall went nuts. So much so that the SWAT team comes in, the FBI, and they're like, "Quarantine! Quarantine! Don't shoot him with the tear gas! Shoot him with the tear gas!" It was kind of, I don't know, kind of relevant. Dude, it's so weird watching some of these episodes, the last 2 or 3 episodes that we watched, that they've had some underlying semblance of what's still going on right now in society.
Yeah, they just tear gassed him.
And they're just kids.
Yeah, just some kids rioting over Santa or Mr. Hankey not being real.
But in their defense, they did say, "God damn it," and more kids are writing about Mr. Hankey again.
So yeah, they were like, "Someone said Mr. Hankey wasn't real again."
Yeah. That's what happened. But it was unfortunate. Now, while this is going on with Kenny and Charlie Manson is actually watching Christmas specials. He watched one based on the Mr. Grinchy Poo. But Mr. Grinchy Poo. And he finds it brilliant how a nasty person, or a nasty piece of shit in this case, can become nice. Now, Manson returns with Kenny having his now tattoo changed to a smiley face. And because the SWAT team who have turned up for the riot spot Manson and the kids, they're like, "Get him! It's Manson!" Now, this leads to a car chase as they're heading back to Cartman's house. Like the news is covering them. Cartman's little nephew or cousin, he throws like a fudgesicle out the window, and the cops are like, "Oh, fudgesicle!" And then like a bunch of cars crash, which was just epic and ridiculous. And while this is going on, Stan's parents then finally discover that Stan sneaked away to Cartman's grandma to follow the rest of Cartman's family. And while they were we kind of did gloss over this, but during the dinner segment, they asked Stan what he was thankful for, and he's like, "I'm not thankful for anything. My parents are dead." Kyle's like, "Dude, your parents are dead? You didn't tell me that." And he's like, "They're dead to me. They don't even know I'm here." He's like, "Oh, dude." So Sharon calls the rest. Apparently, she has the number for Leanne's parents. I don't know. They didn't explain. Got that number. So she calls the number, gets her on the phone. She's like, "Did Stan come with you?" And she's like, "Oh, Sharon, I thought you were dead." She's like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, Stan told us you were dead. I'm so happy to hear you're feeling better."
Like, being dead is being sick. That's amazing.
And Sharon decides, she yells to Randy, "Get your coat, Randy. We're going to Nebraska." And Shelly's like, "Oh, Sharon's gonna get it now."
Sharon's gonna get it now.
So I had a question as I watched this part in the episode, Scoop. Have you ever done something wrong, or do you have the type of parents that if you had let's say you lived in Utah, I mean, that's a pretty comparable drive, Colorado. So let's say you lived in you're living in Utah as a kid, and you get driven, or you go to California. Would your parents be the type of parents that would drive 9 hours there to get you just to bring you back?
think so.
You think your parents would be that angry enough? They would be like, no, we're going to go get him right now.
9 hours?
I mean, from Colorado to Nebraska, that's a 9-hour one-way trip. It's 18 hours total. Do you think your parents would make that trip?
No.
No?
No, they'd wait for me to get home and my ass would be ripped a new one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
My dad would be sitting in that chair waiting.
No, I see that. It's funny you say that. My mom would first be mad, then my dad would first be mad. But because it's an 18 hours, when I let them know I'm coming back, okay, mom and dad, I'm coming home. You know what I mean? At this point, or even if I don't, what they would do is, because this is just my parents, I would walk in the door. My parents would be sitting there probably at the table. They'd have pieces of papers already stacked. Here's your punishment. Here are the rules. You know what I mean? Like my parents, up until I was about 9 or 10, they spanked me. But then after that, it was just you're grounded. You got to like read books, write summaries about your behavior and shit. So like I know I'd come home. And first my dad would let me argue with them for a little bit, make the case. You know what I mean? And I might be able to get down some of the punishment a little bit. I'd probably argue with them about the punishment stuff. Like I'm already fucking in trouble. So what can I get out of in this punishment is when I would go through the list and be like, come on, dad, this is a little harsh. Like trying to make my case. And sometimes I'd win. He'd be like, okay, you know what? We'll take that out. You're fine. You know what? That's a good point. And I'm like, all right, see, dad, I have to stay after school to do this, or I have to do this. You know what I mean? Certain things like, or I've already committed to this, dad. I got to do this. You know what I mean? So like, right. You could get out of certain argument because your parents would be like, come straight home right after school. And you're like, well, dad, I'm the student body treasurer, and I'm also in the school play right now. So, and my dad would be like, oh, all right, we'll be home at 5. So like, you know, my parents would not come 9 hours one way and 9 hours back, especially not my dad. He'd be like, fuck that. We'll just wait for him to get home. But at the Cartman residence now, the police are now threatening the Mansons and and the rest of the family, because what happens is eventually, stupidly, I don't know why Charlie Manson takes the kids back there, takes it back to the Manson family, or sorry, back to the Cartman residence, and he's like yelling at him to try and get him to come out and whatnot. And as while this is going on, Charlie Manson is still watching Christmas specials, and at some point, Charlie Manson decides to be a better person.
Yeah.
Because in the bathroom, Stan is trying to make his escape with them, because Sharon eventually does show up, and she's like, "You're ready to get your ass out there. You're in so much trouble." And all the adults, Charlie, Howard, damn, I wouldn't want to be you right now, kid. So this leads Stan to want to run away with Uncle Howard, and Uncle Charlie is now what they're calling him at this point in the episode. And Uncle Charlie gives him a nice message on family and says your parents do care about you. And he's like, no, they don't. And he's like, really? Your parents just drove 9 hours to get here? And Stan's like, I guess you're right. And then Howard's like, come on, dude, we got to leave. As they're trying to escape out the bathroom window. Before they leave, Howard says to the family, all right, not seeing you again for Christmas. Don't move until I leave or I'll shoot you. Have a good one. Okay, bye, Howard.
Bye, Howard.
They're all like cool with it. Oh, okay, cool. See you later, Howard. So, but Manson decides, no, I'm going to turn myself in. He explains the importance of family and decides to hand himself into the police. At this point, Kenny tries to surrender with a white flag, and they kill him. They kill Kenny. Because they think he's a prison inmate because he's got an orange coat on.
Oh, goddamn, you're right.
You didn't get that? That's why I thought Charlie Manson was going to bang Kenny. Because it was a prison inmate with no face, so maybe it was comfortable for him. Yeah, right?
Holy shit.
Now, at the Cartman residence, they're still all now outside as Charlie Manson is surrendering himself. And then, like, it's so stupid. He's, like, talking about family and learning. And I can't apologize for for killing all those people and tearing apart those families. But I want to make an example that crime. I like this part. He goes, and crime is never the answer. And then the cop immediately goes, stop it.
but at least I'll make an example for anyone else thinking that crime is an answer.
Stop that.
I don't know if you picked that up because he was like trying to like end crime. He's never the answer. Oh man, so they take him away to jail, but not before they sing a song first. Happy, 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 happy holiday. Happy, 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 happy holiday. Happy Christmas and Kwanzaa too. Now we go to the prison. Charlie Manson has finished writing another book, and it turns off the light. And he's all talking about Christmas, and they're all like, your books suck, Manson, just like your last ones. So he turns the light off before going to sleep, turns it back on. All of a sudden, you see Cartman's family in the jail, and they all start singing. They're singing, "Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn king." The entire episode concludes with Stan looking over at Kyle and goes, "Dude, this is pretty fucked up."
It's pretty fucked up.
Oh man, and that's how the episode ends, guys. So I thought this was a pretty good episode of South Park as a whole for a holiday episode. You know, South Park sometimes has hit or misses with holiday episodes. Like when we get to, or did we already do Helen Keller yet? I don't think we've done Helen Keller yet, have we? Water, Helen, water.
No, not
We
yet.
Gobbles. No, we haven't done Gobbles yet.
Nope.
Gobbles. So that's like, you know, there's good ones. There's some stupid ones. Like I'm not a big fan of the Corn Halloween episode, to be quite honest. I kind of think that one is just a very cliche episode on spooky ghost ships. So
Isn't that the one that has like Scooby-Doo too or something?
it's like a Scooby-Doo parody, yeah. And like I think it's in 3D, so that's the only reason I'm excited for it, because I think it got some 3D glasses. I think there's some, but maybe not. I might have just always thought Spooky Vision was 3D, like we talked about last week. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, guys, let's get to our underlying tones and trivia, our top likes and dislikes, and we'll wrap this bad boy up. So I know you're looking at this list, Ian. I don't think I'm going to read everything on it, but I do have a lot of underlying
There's
tones.
a lot.
Yeah. So we kind of went through a couple things. Leanne's the only person that's skinny in the family. Cartman's family talks the same way as everyone else.
Yeah.
Now this was one of the only 2 times that Cartman's family actually appears in this episode. The second time is later in Cartman Land when his grandmother, who we just saw, passes away. That was the introduction of his first grandmother, which Joe Vernola mentioned when we had him on a couple weeks ago. He was like, "This is when you see his grandma." That was the second time, right? Because the first time he calls his grandma and says, "Hey, Grandma, I'm going to be on TV tonight." "Oh, I remember when you were just all right." Bye, Grandma.
Bye, Grandma.
That was the first time. This is the second time we've seen Grandma. Despite Mr. Hankey having a part as a monkey in a movie in Chef's Chocolate Salty Balls, all merchandise plus events involving Mr. Hankey display him as a piece of poo. So that's interesting. Now, this is the first Christmas special to actually feature not the real Mr. Hankey. I don't know if you noticed when they were in the Nebraska Mall, all of the 3rd grade students, excluding Wendy Testaberger, are there. Craig Tucker appears multiple times throughout the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Boy wearing a orange version of Craig's coat can be seen during the rioting.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah, and then and then of course at the Lollyland setup, I guess, when he throws a Molotov cocktail. Butters, Red, Annie, Kevin Stoley, Dog Poo, Token are also all seen in the crowd. There's a color swap of Bebe with brown hair and dark green jacket. There's also a blonde-haired boy similar to Clyde. There's a red-haired boy similar to Butters. So if you want to see what Butters looks like with the red head, you can go check that out. There's a bunch of different kids. We're not going to go through all of them, but there is one. There's a color swap of Stan Marsh's wearing Craig's clothes, which I thought was interesting. Let's move on here to some down the list here. I don't know if you're
down the massive list. The list, baby, is so big. That's what she said.
So this is the first episode to show Cartman without his hat, making him the first one of the 4 boys to have his hair shown in the 30 episodes we reviewed. There will be more in later episodes. When Elvis cries, when Elvin in the episode, I'm sorry, is Cartman's little nephew. I couldn't remember his name there, but I had it written here. Elvin. We hear baby Kate from Arthur crying sound effect rather than the normal actor. That same sound effect will be actually later used for PC babies. It's just turned up for a higher pitch. And now in the official script of this episode, Uncle Stinky had a few more lines that were not shown. Come on, D, let's go, D. Oh, sweet. I love high-speed car chases. Hey, good to see you, Howard. Now, according to the official script, there would be a scene where Kenny would wave to Alexandra Cartman. One of the prisoners seen at the end of the episode lying in the bed is also later seen in Hell on 2006 episode Dancing at the Party. All right, let's get some references, some pop culture here. There is a lot, and they did it in different parts, so we're not going to go too in depth. I'm just going to read off a couple different ones. I think importantly, obviously, Merry Christmas, Charlie Manson is a play on Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Mrs. Cartman and Eric sing a variation of the Over the River and Through the Woods song, substituting river with meadow and grandfather with grandmother. Cartman's watching a football game featuring the Nebraska Cornhuskers of the University of Nebraska. The Grinchy Poo, obviously, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This was funny during the episode. Terrence and Philip they're watching it. And they're farting on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like, he just one at a time. They walk up to the front of his face. They fart. His nose turns red. They go to the back where his ass is. They fart on him there. His nose turns red. And this goes on for 15 to 20 seconds. It's the one of the Christmas specials Charlie Manson is watching.
It's awesome. I'm gonna have to go back and see that.
You didn't see that?
I mean, like, you're just not really. You're paying more attention to like what's going on.
Right, I get what you're saying. Now, obviously, Manson and Uncle Henry sit down and begin to watch the 1946 "It's a Wonderful Life." He was a little edgier. He was like, "You're a bitch.
You're a bitch.
Bitch, you know that?
You know that? You're just a little bitch.
I'm Jimmy Stewart. You're just a little bitch. Want the moon, man? Yeah, I'll bring you the moon. I'll throw a Lysol around. Jimmy Stewart was actually really good in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Though. That's what
Now back to It's a Wonderful Life. You can't just buy people, Mr. Potter. Well, you know what you are? You're a little bitch. That's right, you're a bitch, and I'd bet you'd like to suck it, wouldn't you?
Classic. Go watch that movie. Manson says folks need to understand that I am terror. I am fear. Now, this is actually paraphrasing some of his interviews on television and news programs. He has never referred to himself as terror, though, or fear, however. Charles Manson actually has a heart-to-heart talk to Stan about family, where he tells him that he had a family. I had a family once. They all were a gang of people I thought was my friends. And once they all were gone, I realized that I had a family, and those my real family took care of me, took the time to care about what I did. Now, this is actually quite the interpretation of the events surrounding the Manson murders. Manson had a group of followers that were dubbed the Manson family, who he had authority over and had ordered to go out and kill people. Now, Charles Manson uses the 1960s slang term for police and normal citizens when he says, "I can't wait to get out among the pigs." This is also a reference. This also references the word painted with blood at the crime scene. I'm sorry, that was also referenced when the crime scene painted with blood. The last thing here, one of the books that Charles Manson has written since his Reformation is Are You There, God? It's Me, Charlie, which is actually a parody of Judy Blume's novel, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, the story of a young girl coming of age.
He really wrote this book?
No. That's
what in the right.
It's a parody of Judy Blume's novel. That's what I'm saying. All right, so here's some of the top moments we liked as we wrap up the episode, guy. Dude, we're making great timing here, Scoop. Obviously the clips inserted there as well. So if there's anything we missed, that'll be included. But yeah, we did a pretty good job here. So of course, guys, we want to remind you, you're listening to Suck My Balls. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Suck My Balls Pod. Please like and share Spotify, Apple. Give us a 5-star rating. Also, find us on YouTube if you're watching the video here. We appreciate you there. Like the channel. You'll be notified when our channel has a video up for you. I'm not going to do the whole little gimmick where I put the little, like, ding, subscribe to the button of the video. You can be notified.
Subscribe.
Suck my
Share. Touch my pee-pee.
You can be a ball subscriber. Like, I'm not going to do that.
To be a ball subscriber.
A ball subscriber, you know what I mean? So just go ahead. So go ahead and just just go ahead and be a ball subscriber. I don't know, do that too. Just go ahead and like us, comment, tell your mom. Also go ahead and check out ratsaladreview.com and hackerhameen.podbean.com or just hackerhameen on all podcasts. All
badass boys.
Awesome. All right, let's get into our top likes. When Stan asks his mom to go to Cartman's grandma, she says no, leaves it up to Dad. Dad says yeah, but then she says no again, as we mentioned. Yeah, okay.
No, Stan, you're not going. That's that.
You put that Stan did exactly what you did as a kid, and you ran away. Did you run away from home?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you if you've ever actually at that point. I was gonna ask if you ever actually did that as a kid. Like, I'm fed up with this shit. I know what I'm doing. I'm out of here.
I ever ran away from home? No, I don't think so. Oh, wait. No, I never ran away from home. There were times where I stayed away for a couple days. Yeah, that's maybe a little too personal. The circumstances surrounding that, I'd be happy to tell you that off air. But there was a period in my time where my parents were separated, and my mom was not hanging out with a good group of people. So I think that I had a lot more leniency. So there wasn't a lot of parental supervision. I would say probably for like around the 3rd or 4th grade, I would say. Those couple years, I probably didn't have a lot of parental supervision as my parents were going through trial separation. So, and there's more included in that. But yeah, I really didn't run away. I would just kind of be like, I would just go, dude. I would just fill up my backpack with snacks from the cupboard, and I would just take off. And you'd sleep somewhere. You know me, man. I'm resourceful. I'll fucking sleep outside. So
right.
I've been that way since I was a kid. But you say you actually ran away. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I packed a little bag and I took off. Went and hung out, and there was this house that had like this weird field in the back, but it was there's like trails and stuff. It was overgrown, trees everywhere and stuff, and you could hide out back there. And I just hid out there for a couple hours, told my mom I was running away. I can't remember what I was mad about. I'm sitting here trying to figure it out. I can't remember, but I remember I packed up and I ran away, and my mom was like, okay, good luck out there. I made it a couple hours and came back home.
That's not really running away. That's hanging out in your backyard.
Yeah, shut up. We're making up these rules. Just making this up on the fly.
Number 3, you put the random circus rolling through as they leave for Grandma's house.
Did you catch that?
I did, but now I totally didn't even write it down or think about it. That's pretty crazy. That's right. There was a circus in town. Like, why would you leave them if the circus is in town? That's even more reason. Number 4, Grandma's Grace.
You asked me to say grace one more time. I'm going to come on out and I'm going to kick you square in the nuts.
I didn't really have a lot of the top like moments. Oh, wait, no. I did like, as we kind of mentioned, Kyle, obviously, losing his shit in the mall. Here is your prophet. And I think that also encompasses Stan, his reaction. We liked that as well. What else? You done it now. What else did we like or appreciate? Is there anything else you liked, Stan? Or, I'm sorry, Skeep. Skeep. Yeah. Nope. All right. Top disliked. You didn't like how Kenny gave up his shotgun so easy?
When he was sitting up front. I wish that he kind of fought for it a little bit more and made Cartman sit in the back. That'd have been hilarious.
Oh, you're right. So at the beginning of the episode, when they're leaving to Nebraska, Cartman's like, second, I got second. But Kenny was already sitting in the front. He's like, Kenny, this is my car. I got second. So he tries to distract him a couple things, but then eventually he does get Kenny to move with $1. Kenny, you want $1? You want $1?
Yeah, King.
And then Kenny takes it and he goes, stupid poor piece of crap. Oh, golly. The singing in the car. You can't stand that type of shit. Like Kyle.
Like Kyle, yeah, because Kyle's just like, shut up, please. Stop it.
Over the meadow and through the over the rainbow, over the river and over the meadow and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. And then you also you didn't like that Charlie didn't kill Kenny. You wanted him to like kill him. You wanted him to Christmas critter him.
Yeah, I didn't like that he was murdered by the police.
Let's rape his eyes and pee in his eye. Let's rape his asshole and pee in his eye sockets.
Got him.
Well, we have to get AIDS if we want to kill him. All right, guys, that was the end of that episode. Now, the question remains, is this in Skeev's Top 20? No, okay. Is this in Skeev's Top 50? Oh, we're going higher, okay. Skeev's Top 100?
Yep.
Okay.
Top 100.
Top 100.
What about you?
I would say this is top 200.
Okay. The only reason is it's the first Christmas one, right?
No.
Second. No.
Second.
It's
First
just,
Christmas one was Mr. Hankey.
It's the turnaround with Charlie Manson and everything. It's actually a really well-written episode.
It is a good episode. Like from a
not a whole lot I didn't
like from a standpoint of morality and family, it actually is. It's like it literally is South Park's version of their Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. Like I actually
possible
really like it.
Everything under it. So you know what? I'm gonna revise my top 100 for me too. You're right. That's good points. It is top 100. Well, that's it. That's another episode of Check. Balls. I'm your host of Moses on the West Coast, your boy MSG. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Matthew_Schaffer. That's SHAFFER Schaffer. You can follow Scoop and talk to Scoop on our Twitter.
I will. If you want to debate stuff with me, let's debate. Like I'm not gonna just attack. Like I really, that's all I'm really trying to find is someone to actually kind of have this debate with. Like you had a debate with a friend that kind of gave clear and concise points as to why the mask is not really necessary. I kind of did with somebody else online, but not other than that, I'm not really getting any type of conversations with people that are just really back and forth. It's more of like, you're just an idiot. So let's have it. Let's debate.
Of course,
change my mind, sway me. Like that's the best thing that can happen right now is if you sway somebody and gain support and create a community.
Sounds good. You can talk to Ian on Twitter at SuckMyBallsPod and on our Instagram at SuckMyBallsPod. It's the same thing.
Find me on the Twitters.
SuckMyBallsPod. You can also like us on Facebook.
Suck my balls.
You can also like us on Facebook at South Park Pod. I wish Ian would let me do some fucking outros here. It's like, and it's goddamn show. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Go to our social media, like our stuff. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your brother, tell your sister. Contact Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Tell them to come on our show. Like, write them a letter. Like I would.
I'm gonna
right
start
now.
spamming them.
Right now.
I don't know if that's like actually them on
Don't
Twitter,
do that.
Though.
Don't do that.
But I don't think that's actually them.
I don't think so because it's not verified. So I don't trust it. I don't think they're on social media. And if they are on social media, they probably just use the South Park account. So that way they can just log in and read shit.
Right.
Personally, that's what I think. But maybe it is Trey. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, guys, Matt Schaffer here. Time about Scoop, a.k.a. Ian. That's another edition. A check. Meh.
Shake my ass, baby.
Shake my ass.
Shake my ass.